first symptom of anxiety that I would think is probably the most painful for me, not in the sense of physical pain, but as in like it was just horrible. Like it's just horrible. When I go through it, I know that my anxiety is at its peak. It's feeling panic, fear and uneasiness. That's probably my top symptom of anxiety that I feel. Is panic, fear and uneasiness. When I feel that, any of those three, I know I'm going into an anxiety attack. I know that my mind has crossed that line and I need to try and pull back and control myself. Now when I say panic, uneasiness or fear, it's like, I don't mean like fear of a black cat or fear of, I mean, it could be that, but it would be like 100 times worse. So like, you think you hear fear of a black cat and the average person would just be like, oh no, you know, don't walk around it, like it's bad luck. I would think, oh my god, a black cat is in front of me, something bad is going to happen to me right now. Like within the next 24 hours, something's going to happen to me. Like I can't cross that path, I have to. Do you know what I would do? I would go all the way around. So like if it crossed the path on my block, I'd go all the way around the block so I could get to the other side. I wouldn't cross it. And anyone that knows me, I was not the superstitious. My mum would even say to me like, Simran, what's happened to you? You were never like this. Because I always used to say, she was a superstitious one. I used to say to her all the time, Mum, don't be stupid. Like, don't be silly. Like, that's not real. You know that's not real. But yeah, I became that person who feared and panicked about everything. The slight feeling, the slight pain, slight everything I thought was the worst thing possible. I felt like I was physically going to have a heart attack. Like, how do I even know what a heart attack feels like? Only God knows, because I've never been through one. But I was thinking, oh, the pain in my left arm, pain in my chest, I was going to have a heart attack. Like, I'm going to stop breathing any second now. Like, that's how intense your panic attacks and your fear become. So yeah, that would probably be the top or first symptom of anxiety that I felt, and most frequent one I felt. It was also one that I later became able to control. Like I could talk myself out of, okay Simran, that's not real. That's just in your head. It's not real. You're not going to have a heart attack. You're not going to pass out. You're not going to die from it. It's okay. And one of my therapists actually said to me, like, the reason why you go through these feelings of feeling like that, the reason why your body starts, going into shock and going into fight mode. I don't know if you've heard of the fight or flight method for your body to fight things off. It's exactly the same reason why your body does it during a panic or anxiety attack, because your body fights something exactly the same way as it would fight something physical. So if you were being attacked by, I don't know, by a tiger for example, your body would go into shock and run and do however you would fight that. You would fight the same way as an anxiety attack. Your body goes into shock and panic and it fights everything the only way it knows how to. So that's the reason why the symptoms of, panic are so similar. Heart palpitations. Now these were crazy horrible for me. Heart palpitations for me were probably one of the top again, because I was so scared when I felt them. Like, my heart palpitations, everyone's like, oh Simran, you're not having heart palpitations. My boyfriend was one of the main people. You know you did it. You know you said it. You know you said it. It was, oh, you're not having heart palpitations, Simran. That's not what's happening to you. Like, stop being silly. Little did he know, my heart was doing craziness. You can't even hear that. My heart was doing craziness, like it was going so fast, or it would feel like it's skipping a beat, jumping a beat, and that was more scary for me because I'm asthmatic. So again, it got into my head and I started panicking and worrying about having an asthma attack. So yeah, heart palpitations were one of the symptoms that I suffered with, still do suffer with. Like, I know if it gets to that stage, I've lost the battle with my head, sort of thing, in talking myself out of it, and I've got to try another method. Not being able to sit still or be calm. When I was in full-blown anxiety attack mode, I say that like it's charged up or something, but yeah, when I was in full anxiety mode, this was the one where I started annoying people around me, for one. When you're in panic, like when you're panicking, like if anyone has experienced a panic attack, you'll know, like when you're panicking, you can't sit down, you pace up and down, like you start doing things to just try and distract yourself. This was something that I found I did a lot during my panic attacks, during my anxiety attacks, and I still do. When I'm in a full-blown attack, I try and do silly little things that I think are gonna distract me from it. Like I'll start pacing, start running around, shaking my hands, like that sort of thing. Because I've got tingling in my fingers and I'm trying to get rid of it. I'm like, how can I explain it? Oh, I'm like tapping my leg, if that makes sense, like shaking my leg sort of thing. I don't even know how to explain it, but yeah, just doing little things to try and distract myself. I'm grabbing for a bottle of water. One thing I've read a lot of when doing my research, when suffering and when speaking to my therapist, it's really common. People always go to water to try and help them, because one of the body signs, one of the body symptoms is your dry mouth and feeling like your throat is going to close. Your throat's not going to close. Yeah, your throat's not going to close. Like, it's just it's just in your head kind of thing. But yeah, people drink water to kind of, I guess, see if your throat's still open or still there, I don't know. But that's something I do a lot. Like, I go to water, get a bottle of water and I drink it and think, okay, I'm still breathing, I can breathe and drink water at the same time, I'm still okay. And yeah, so I cannot leave the house without a bottle of water in my bag. If I haven't got it with me, I will literally prepare myself for an anxiety attack. Even though I'm not going to have an anxiety attack, but in my head I convince myself that I am going to have one, just because I haven't got the things that relieve me from them. I know, I sound silly, but I do it every single time. Like, I'll talk about it now, but I'll still do it. And that's one of the things I need to still overcome. So before is talking too fast or talking too slow. This is something that I've now built up a habit of doing, but I noticed really quickly in the beginning of my anxiety that it was one of the things that changed for me. My speech completely went from quite clear, concise, you know, I was calm and collected when talking, to being really rushed, really fast. I was tripping over words. I found myself going or stopping and going sorry and then trying to talk again, or getting frustrated with myself because I was tripping over my words. Yeah, so that was one of the symptoms that I found were clarifying for me. Like, I knew as soon as I realised I was doing those things that anxiety was picking up fast. And then also when I was really tired or I didn't feel right or I was really low, I was speaking really quietly, really slowly. I wasn't really saying much. Don't know why now I've changed my tone of voice, but yeah, that's what I was doing. I was going the complete opposite. So that was kind of like, I think that's a big sign for me. That was a big sign that it was getting worse, that it was worse than I thought it was, because it was creating symptoms for me outside of the actual anxiety attacks. So my fifth and last symptom that I found was really kind of controlling for me is within anxiety attacks, not outside like the speech one. Within anxiety attacks, when I knew I let the anxiety attack completely take over me, I would become really numb in my hands. I'd have tingly feeling in my hands and in my feet. Once I got to that point, once I realised I was getting to that point, and before I wouldn't realise it was happening. I think that's something I've learned and something that I've overcome. But in the beginning, when I was having anxiety attacks, looking back now, I'd feel the feeling and that was it. Like, by the time I felt that feeling, I was ready to go. I was ready to pass out. I was very close to passing out. So now when I feel my hands going tingly, like pins and needles type of thing, I know, okay, right, Simran, you've let this go too far now. You need to stop. You need to overcome it. You need to control it. Whereas before, when I used to get to that point, I used to panic even more and black out. Black out or kind of be sick, or feel like I'm going to be sick and get really dizzy and things like that. So numbness, tingly feeling, dizziness is a big sign of once you know that sign, once you know that symptom and you know that you've let it get to that point, once you know what that is and what it feels like, you can kind of control how far your anxiety attack is going to go. Whether it's going to go full blown and you're going to black out, or you're going to let it completely control your body, or whether you're going to literally stop yourself, take control of your own mind and say, do you know what, Simran, for example, Simran, no, you're not going to let this get any further. You're not going to let it go any further. Stop panicking. Stop letting it overtake you. And then you will slowly feel your hands go back to normal, your legs and feet go back to normal. I also felt tingliness in my lips. My lips would slowly turn blue. You'll slowly start to feel that go better. And then you'll be okay. You'll be controlled. You'll be fine. So yeah, those are my 5 signs and symptoms of anxiety that I found were most frequent for me. And with those, I also felt, once I knew those signs and symptoms, I was able to control my anxiety a bit better. Since knowing them, I haven't had anxiety attacks as frequent, because I'm now able to kind of control them, to stop them when it gets to those positions. They're kind of like the points and stages of the attack. I will go through the stages of the attack another time in a bit more depth, and how you can stop them from getting so far, and give you a few techniques on how to do so. Other than that, another thing I wanted to go through with you guys, like I said earlier, and I touched on briefly, was the difference between panic attacks and anxiety attacks. I will firstly go through a panic attack. A panic attack is something that you have a feeling, a negative feeling about, a situation you have a negative feeling about, and you then basically feel negative towards everything surrounding it. It's also, within your mind, you start having negative thoughts, and then you panic and your body panics and goes into panic mode about it. Anxiety attacks is like panic attacks on steroids, quite frankly. Like I touched on earlier with the black cat thing, that superstition, a superstition, you can have a superstition in you, it doesn't really affect your life too much. When your anxiety is at its worst, something as small as that will affect your everyday life. Everything in your daily encounter, it will constantly be on your mind, and you'll constantly be referring back to it. You'll think everything within your day is because of that one thing. And for a while, that's how I felt about things. Like, I was constantly reminded about something negative, and I would think that everything in my life and my day was revolving around that negative thing, was as a result of that negative thing. And it's really about training your mind to overcome those things, overcome those fears. And it's really about living the saying, everything you ever wanted is on the other side of fear. Once you conquer fear, once you surpass fear, everything will come to you. Everything will be easier, everything will be a lot better, and you'll feel a lot better and relaxed. I'm not there yet. I still have a lot of fears that I need to overcome, but I know from just overcoming a certain few fears that I already feel a lot better. So guys, I hope you found this video insightful. I hope I kind of went into a bit more detail about the signs and symptoms of anxiety, and I hope you can kind of relate to mine. I hope that you guys will tune in next week. I think maybe next week, maybe the week after. I'm kind of trying to juggle the vlogging and blogging with work and stuff at the moment, and trying to fit it into a routine. I'm kind of not sure how often and when I'm going to be releasing videos at the moment. I'm just kind of doing it as of when I can fit it in. But be sure to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you soon.
Day